My content's not for kids!
Greetings, Psycho-Pop Army! I'm finally back from the hospital. For those of you who don't remember, I went to the hospital after last episode. Here's a clip. We finally have it, Psycho-Pop Army! We've got the cure! We've got it right here! We don't need to be quarantined anymore! Not as long as we have this! Bottoms up! Yeah, that didn't work out so well for me. But tonight I'm back and I'm ready to talk to you about the alien agenda! What's going on with all these extraterrestrials and whatnot? But before I can tell you about that, we have to have a little history lesson, or should I say, a future lesson! So, get my handy board. You've got us. We're going to use this circle to represent us. Here's the Earth, this line right here. Moon above it. And captured here, right? This is right now, but there was a time before now when the Earth had a moon and two suns. I guess I should draw the sun over here to compensate. You get the idea? So back in these days, the Anunnaki visited the Earth, and they used their technologies to create humankind. There we go, all down there. Now we've got cities and stuff on the Earth, you know. You've seen it. But in the future, where's everything else? What's going on? Things have gone to shit. In the future, humankind has turned themselves into sort of cloned facsimiles of what we were back in the days you and I know about. And we start to realize that doing this is causing us to lose the ability to make more humans, you know. So we go back in time here to come back to this world. And that's after having moved off the Earth to a place called Zeta Reticula. So these people, these humans that have evolved and changed, they started to look smaller, grayer, weirder. They've come back. They call themselves Zeta Reticulans because they don't want people to know they're from here. But the plan they have is to capture people here temporarily, impregnate them, then take the fetuses out, making more of these guys, hybrids, so that they can survive. And then they're going to take them back to the future, Great Scott, and repopulate. So that's the whole idea. They're like, we can do this because we're not going to do anything to cause a change in the timeline. We're just going to take some babies and things that we need, and we're going to take them right back. We're not fiddling with this thing here. We're not changing around anything going on in there. Or so they thought. You say what? These Zeta Reticuli humans didn't know when they came here is that even though the Anunnaki were back here, so they're not up here, and they're from up here, so they're not here, there's still a bunch of other aliens in this place here that were created by the Anunnaki. There's basically two main factions. You got the Council of Light and the Draconians. The Draconians are made up of different reptiles from different worlds. Some of them are even from our world. Most of them are from our world because there's really only one major Earth, as we've talked about before. But there's also little stars and things like that where the others come from. So basically, if it's a reptilian, it's a Draconian, same idea. But they aligned with these humans from the future and said, hey, yeah, we'll help you out. And why did they have to do that? Because the Council of Light came in and was like, stop what you're doing. You're messing with the timeline, and we don't mess with things without permission. So the Council of Light is made up of the Arcturians, the Lyrians, the Syrians, Palladians, and a bunch of other different races that are out there. As you already know, their primary messengers are bluebirds or blue birdmen or something like that. They look like bird people that are blue. They basically fly around and take dumps on top of all the spaceships that are out there. And you may say, how could they be flying in space, Psycho-Pop Conspiracy Theorist? Well, I'll tell you why. Because there's no space. Space is an illusion, old friend. You should know this by now. You see, the Earth is actually flat. There's no sphere, and that means there's no space around it. There's just space up, obviously. So the bird creatures just fly around because it's just higher up there in the air and stuff. And a spaceship is just a ship that flies high enough for it to get dark enough that they can get up when us bird people come fly around and talk to them. Some people call them angels. I don't. Humans now have representation on this citadel-like moon where all of these aliens get together and speak. But the humans, unfortunately, that have representation, they're from the Triad, so we can't trust them at all. They're basically out to get all of our loosh and sap it up for themselves, like fat cats drinking fat rat milk. We have to put a stop to this craziness. They've even created a soul device on the moon that they call the Pac-Man device, but we'll get into that in another video, truth seekers. So anyway, the Council of Light didn't want the reptilians being the ones to take control of this situation, so they decided to help out these Zeta Reticulans as well, and the way they do that is by sending messages down to people who are willing on the planet, so that they can prearrange some kind of deal or elevate the Earth so it doesn't end up in this weird parallel world that the Zeta Reticulans are from. So that's how the Council of Light is trying to help, and then the reptilians is trying to help by just kind of, raping all the natural resources that we have on the planet, because that's pretty much how they do everything. Which of these two forces will win? It actually is up to you, old friend. We have to act now. We have to act now. If you want to be part of the reptilian agenda, then just keep doing whatever you're doing all the time and burning trees and fossil fuels and destroying our environment. If you want to help out with the Council of Light instead, then start focusing on your mind and changing who you are and adapting to your own feelings and learning the truth about yourself. Those are the two forces that are at work here and at play, my friend. If it was up to the Triad, they'd just leave you cold and afraid so they could steal your loosh. But again, I'm saying too much. If I keep it up, they're gonna destroy me. But then you'll know I'm telling the truth. I think I've already said too much for one day, so for now we'll just thank my Council of Magi. They're not really mine so much as they're from the Joseph March Patreon, but I hear it's quite a fine Patreon after all. I'd also like to thank all of you out there watching. Psycho Pop Army, you guys are what keeps the rebellion strong. Until next time, don't eat disinfectant wipes. It didn't end well for me.